Hi, this is your Professor David Lane. I'd like to introduce you to the course. The first thing you're going to see is my website called neurosurfer.com. It's been in existence since 1993. It was one of the first websites actually created on the World Wide Web after Tim Berners-Lee had developed the incredible app on the internet out of CERN. The first thing you're going to want to do is click onto school. This is an introduction to philosophy class. So we want to focus because we have 8 weeks. The thing I'd like to notice you, besides having a general website, we have a library of free materials, hundreds of illustrated magazines downloadable as PDFs. I created a YouTube channel which has hundreds of original films we've created on philosophy, religion, and science. This is my Facebook, Twitter, and of course my email, which is important. You can always email me if you have any problems. And then we have the philosophy discussion forum. And on this forum, you will be posting every week your information about reactions to the readings and to the films. In this course, there are 10 required books. Now that sounds a bit daunting, but these 10 books are really small. They're paperback, and they've been specially designed for this course. You can only get them from Amazon because we want to keep it down as inexpensive as possible. It's about 40 bucks total, which is really quite cheap compared to how much textbooks are in philosophy. However, we've also created a free PDF version of all the books, if you prefer that. Although I've had complaints that people would rather read off a book, so it's your choice. Then as you go through this course, you'll notice I've taken a consilience approach. That word comes from Edward O. Wilson, who's a very famous professor of evolutionary biology at Harvard, who's now retired. And what we're trying to do is kind of follow Aristotle's approach and focus on the natural sciences so that we can actually come up with some answers in philosophy instead of simply just stuff off the top of our head. Each student is required to create a website. Now, if you've never created a website, don't be scared. I've created an instructional video here for you, and it's free. It takes really about 10 seconds to create. On this website, you will put everything you do, your post, your midterm, and your finals, and anything you put on the forum, you keep a copy of it on your website because your website becomes basically your portfolio of what you've done for the entire class. Now, I want you to do all the assigned readings, watch all the films, be sure to make your website, be sure to send me your midterm and final at the appropriate time. And since this is an online course, it's accelerated, and you have to be self-motivated, so keep that in mind. To complete all the readings of the course and watch all the films, that's a necessary requirement, of course, to pass. And also I have extra credit because I'm always creating new films or writing new books, and I'll give you direct free links to those things. Okay, the first week, week 1 and 2, you're going to read a book called The Great Mystery, which was actually a presentation my wife and I did in India back in 2010 at the Dialogue Educational Institute in Agra, where the Taj Mahal is. The second book is How Socrates Died, which is very famous. And then we also have an introductory film on the evolution of philosophy as a discipline. So what you're going to want to do for this first week 1 and 2 is watch the video overview. I'll have a video overview for the weeks, for each week. But I want you to read the book The Great Mystery, then How Socrates Died. Then, of course, if you want some extra credit, then we have required films. Then there's 2 essay questions that are required for these first 2 weeks. And then, of course, the question is, why was Socrates sentenced to death? And what you're going to do is you're going to write answers to these 2 questions in about 150 words each, and you're going to place them on the class forum. You're also going to keep a copy on your website. Make sure you do that. Now, if you want to respond to other students' posts on the forum, go right ahead because it's extra credit. Be sure to introduce yourself the very first week on the class forum. And then, of course, I have extra credit, which is a little movie, What Does Matter? Now, week 3, we go to natural philosophy and the universe. And here it's kind of interesting. We're going to study physics and quantum mechanics and the Big Bang Theory, and about how the universe started about 13.8 billion years ago, and inflationary universe, black holes, all this kind of things to kind of ground ourselves to understand what science has discovered in these past 4 centuries. The 2 books are called Quantum Weirdness, which was written by my wife, and the second book is The Universe Really Made Out of Tiny Rubber Bands, which is a very interesting child book. I mean, written for children, but it's actually adults can benefit from it, and it describes how the universe came into being. And talks about the 4 forces of the universe, strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, electromagnetism, and gravity. Then for extra credit, you could actually read the original debate between Einstein and Bohr's response to Einstein. Then, of course, we have the required films. Then, of course, the 2 essays you're supposed to respond to. Then as you move on, you get to week 4, which is biological philosophy and evolutionary thinking. Here we have one particular book called The DNA of Consciousness. We have extra credit, and then, of course, the required films. And as you go down, you start to get the rhythm of the class. And then, of course, the midterm is due on March 21st. I think I've already posted the test for you to kind of give you some idea. It's all essay-based, and you will put that on your website. And then, of course, then we move to week 5 and 6, which is on neural philosophy and consciousness, talking about the brain. And as we move on into week 7, we go into digital philosophy. And as we end up in the class on week 8, we move into mystical philosophy and transcendence, reading The Unknowing Sage, The Oceanic Metaphor, and of course required films. And the final is due on April 17th. Now, each week, or each week, week 1 and week 2, I will have a film for you to describe what you have to do for those few weeks. So it'll probably be about, I think, 6 different films. So you want to look forward to those. It's good to have you in class, and if you have any questions, just feel free to email me. Thanks again.